Today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosley Bus Stop, Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The Ministry of Health has launched yet another service under Universal Health Coverage. This new service includes conducting pap smears using liquid-based cytology, which will assist in eliminating cervical cancer.
This new method of conducting pap smears is more comfortable and more convenient. So ladies, contact your nearest wellness center to get to know about our pap smear clinics.
Turnaround time for HPV testing is 1 week. Any abnormal or positive test, there'll be a following week for the cytology testing. We're also going to test for HPV strains 16 and 18, which are the most aggressive, which cause cervical cancer. We can also test for other STIs, such as herpes simplex type 1 and type 2, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and others.
Patients with an abnormal HPV and an abnormal cytology shall be referred to the colposcopy clinic. At that clinic, we shall assure that you get the proper treatment and guidance.
So come in and access this new service. Your health is our priority.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Good afternoon to you, everyone. Welcome and thanks once again for tuning in for The Real Issues with me, Shelton Daniel, your host and producer, alongside our technical operator, Alton Jaquan Joseph. Our program, as you know, airs weekdays from 12:30 until 2 p.m. on Real FM radio station, coming to you on the double frequencies of 91.3 for the north and 91.5 for the south. We're also simulcasting on MBC television, channel 120 on the Flow cable TV service. And we are on Facebook Live as well as streaming live on YouTube. Hope you're having a good day so far. It's a good looking and good feeling day. And by that I mean, it's a normal day, but it doesn't feel so hot like other days. You know, it's like there is a battle going on between the sun, you know, that's out only kind of mildly, you know, through the clouds, of course, providing some cover. And you get a sense that the rain, you know, is kind of struggling to come out a bit, but neither of them is really gaining the upper hand. And we are coming out the beneficiaries of that struggle, because I tell you, sometimes the days can feel so hot and stuffy and humid. And today is not feeling too hot. It's not feeling too stuffy. It's not feeling too sticky. It's not feeling too humid. You know, the kind of days that we can say we love them and we learn to appreciate them when they come at this time of the year, by which I mean the hurricane season. Yeah, man. Okay. Did I just say that? Where did I pick that up? You know, you fellas, Jaquan, you all DJs and so on. I must be very careful, you know, how much I expose myself to you all. This yeah, man thing, that sounds pretty Jamaican, you know. Okay. Yesterday I had a few video clips that I wanted to play, but, you know, other things in terms of the intensity of the discussion kind of engaged me, so I didn't really go down that road. It concerns what's happening in Martinique. The protests. Shazi had alerted us that this was coming, and it has come to pass. And some of it has turned violent. And the people of Martinique who are taking part in it, they want the authorities, the Martinican authorities, which are the French authorities, to reduce the cost, the food prices by 20%. They want it slashed 20% above board. They say it's just too high. And people, they admit that it is rough, it's high. And matter of fact, they're saying for a place that is supposed to be part of France, separated by sea, but it is a department of France. Martinique is every bit France as France is itself. And they are not happy that many prices of items, including and especially, as the present concern is, are higher in Martinique than you would find them in mainland France. They believe there is a bit of discrimination. They believe it's insensitive to their special differentiated circumstances where maybe there is a lot greater poverty and lower incomes and so on because of the location, because of the kinds of business, commercial activity, industries and so on that you'd find on Martinique. A lot has to do with its size, a lot has to do with its location, a lot has to do with the fact that it is separated from France, mainland, by a vast distance. Now, it is very easy for us to want or to suggest, especially those of us who are politically driven, and by which I mean opposition politically driven, to want to copycat what the Martinicans are doing and to come and to demand that the food prices and the supermarket prices, the latest of course is the fuel prices. I don't know if those who are demanding that the next time the fuel price adjustment comes around that they want to see a $4 per gallon decrease, it has to come down from $16.95 down to less than $13. They want that done, and if not, they will feel the wrath of the people and this sort of thing. It's easy to say that. And if you say it was the Martinicans saying that, French-speaking people, they also have a commonality of our Creole and so on. It would make more sense, for them, because they can make demands on France, because France is responsible for them. They're not independent. They're not even at the stage where we were once, where we called it associated statehood. They are French overseas territory. They're very much France. And so they can demand and they can call upon the muscle and the clout and the wealth and the influence of France to move and shake things for them. France has a lot of options, because of its size, because of its wealth, because of it being part of the EU, because of it having so much, standing and once again, I want to say, France can call the shots, and it does call the shots in many places apart from Martinique and France itself. It calls the shots in many parts of Africa, including in countries that are already independent but that were once French and so on. As many overseas territories and so on, they can do that. They can say, France, you have enough wealth, you have enough reserves, you have enough Paris, you need to do something for us. And Paris can and most likely will do so. You see this protest? They're going to result in something positive for the Martinican people. And they can do that because they're not independent. They're part of France. They can call on France, of course. When you go and you lower prices for Martinique, you can create complications for yourself because the people of Toulouse and Reims and all those famous names, cities and parts of France and so on, they can call upon the government to say, if you could do it for Martinique, you can do it for us. You also have to lower prices for us. So sometimes the governments have to think those things through very carefully. They have to pitch and sell them properly in a manner that does not infuriate and antagonize people and so on who will say, the Guadeloupans will say, hey, what about us and so on. These are the things that Martinique can do because France is in every way responsible for them. The people of Haiti can do it too, but who they going to appeal to? They're an independent country. The second oldest independent country in the Americas, independent from some European power. It became independent very early in the 19th century, 1804 or something of that kind. But if the Martinicans do it, it's themselves they're affecting. Is their government they're affecting? Is their own country they're destabilizing? Is their reserves, they're virtually drawing down on, and all these sorts of things that they will run into problems because they don't have anybody that's responsible for them that they can run to. A lot of the unrest in Haiti has to do with that. People taking it hard. Life is tough for them. And they're protesting and they're demonstrating and they're rebelling and they're rioting and so on. But against whom they're protesting and they're rioting? It's against their own selves. They're responsible, as Dr. Von Wiss once said when he was still Director General of the OECS. Gone are the days where we could run to Britain every Friday night and say, hey, we need this thing stuff, because you're responsible for us. We are now politically independent, and political independence means that we in charge of our own affairs. We responsible for our own affairs. We broke, and it's broke, we broke. We have to find a way out of our brokenness. We can't go and say, Britain, do this for us. I don't even think Montserrat, if all their volcano crisis and other things could do so. Britain has its own rules of engagement if it's overseas territories and so on. So Haiti can't do it. And so here in St. Lucia, we want to come and just go and say, we're reducing the price. What are you going to do? Government have to subsidize it for it to happen. Government have to subsidize it. You're gonna go and tell Rubis and Sol, we want you to bring down the price, when they can show you, look at what we're buying it for. That's impractical. That's impossible. We cannot do that and so on. You're going to legislate for them to do it. They're going to shut down on you. There'll be all kinds of protests and so on. And that is what this demand about bringing down the prices is intended to achieve. The government will run itself, under a guillotine of protest and shutdowns and all these kind of things. And that's what you want to see if you can incite. I don't think it's ever going to happen. It can't happen like that. Cannot happen like that. Nevertheless, let's play some of the video clips of what's been happening in Martinique so that we can understand and appreciate that within their constitutional framework, they can make demands on their central government, on Paris and so on, to do certain things that we cannot do here in St. Lucia. And if we try them, we are going to get the kind of unrest and strife and insurrection and absolute chaos such as we see in Haiti, which is another independent country that is facing challenges worse than anything we have ever been confronted with here. Our friends can do it, Martinique can do it, and so on. We don't have a Britain to come and to bail us out. France is definitely going to bail out Martinique. They have to. That is part of their, their organic whole, part of their anatomy, part of, their whole constitution and body. It's one of the organs that they just cannot do anything, but they have to respond to what's happening there. Jaquan, roll the videos. You don't need to come back to me. Just let them roll one after the other.
This fast food restaurant is the workplace of more than 100 young residents of Fort-de-France on the island of Martinique. Those who burned it down put those low-income workers, most of them students, out of a job.
It will take months to rebuild the restaurant. This has put our young workers in a difficult position.
This arson, like the looting and vandalism in Fort-de-France and neighboring La Montagne, are part of a protest against the high cost of living on the French Caribbean island. While people are divided over the methods used by the rioters, in recent days several people have been wounded in shootings, including police officers and a protester. Several stores have been looted and some barricades set up by demonstrators. Most agree, though, authorities must act to bring down prices, starting with food.
This is a tougher phase of the protest. The priority is to be able to afford food.
In Martinique, basic food products are on average 40% more expensive than in mainland France.
They ask me, Dad, can you pay for this? It's difficult to answer yes, because I can't make ends meet.
Protesters demand distributors cut their margins and that the state cut a specific tax on food imports, which isn't applied in mainland France. Talks between local groups, elected leaders, and distributors have so far failed. To stop the violence, additional police forces have been sent to the island, and a partial night curfew is now enforced in several neighborhoods of Fort-de-France, with authorities saying the goal is solely to protect people and businesses.
Bringing traffic to a standstill, taxi drivers in Martinique blocked roads and highways in a show of solidarity with cost of living protests that have rocked the French overseas territory in recent weeks.
Today, a segment of the population has fallen into extreme poverty, elderly people living on small pensions and parents who can't feed their children properly.
The protests that began earlier this month have since turned violent as rioters began looting businesses and attacking security forces. Several policemen were injured by gunfire in the past week, leading French authorities to impose a 9 p.m. curfew on Wednesday. But while many locals and elected officials have condemned the violence, criticizing a strategy of chaos, most are also expressing solidarity with the movement and are urging the French government to take urgent measures to alleviate poverty on the island.
These prices have become unsustainable. We're seeing middle-class families fall into poverty, which is unacceptable. So we understand the people's anger, and even if we're witnessing violence and degradations, we must recognize that they are caused by the immense poverty people are facing.
The average salary is much lower in Martinique than in metropolitan France, yet food prices are up to 40% higher, according to government statistics.
Time for business. We say hello to Camille Knight.
Hi, François.
We've seen these protests against cost of living turn violent in Martinique and Guadeloupe before. Tell us, why is it so expensive there?
Exactly. I mean, these protests in particular have been going on since the start of the month, but like you say, it's not the first time that people in Martinique have been vocal about this problem. Now, on average, food products on the island cost 30 to 42% more than in mainland France. This despite 27% of the population living below the poverty line. Now, there are several factors at play, and it's not just a problem affecting Martinique. The cost of living is higher in all overseas territories. French competition authorities estimating that in 2019 it was between 19 to 38% higher than in mainland France. Now, one collective has been at the forefront of these most recent demonstrations. It's calling on supermarkets to realign its prices. Take a listen.
We have been issuing injunctions since July, on July 1st to be precise, asking supermarkets to bring their prices in line with those in mainland France. For the simple reason that if we're French, we have the same identity cards, the same fines, the same taxes, if not more. So we don't understand why we can't have the same prices for food.
Now, one of the main reasons for this cost of living crisis is the fact that those territories hugely rely on imports, and transporting food via the sea or the sky is more expensive. On top of that, specific taxes known as dock dues are imposed on these imports. It's a legacy of the colonial era and was introduced at the time to help finance these territories and protect the local market from competition. But that, combined with monopolistic practices, has led to skyrocketing prices. Local authorities have said they were in favour of abolishing these dock dues on several hundred products. The government's target is to reduce the price of 2,500 essential products by 20%. And in other news, Sri Lankans are gearing up for the country's presidential election this weekend. And while voters in the South Asian nation have traditionally cast their ballots along religious or ethnic lines, this year their chief concern is likely to be the economy. Just over 2 years ago, it was in the midst of full collapse when the president was ousted by a popular uprising and forced to flee the country. Since then, it's experienced a fragile recovery, but a massive debt load still hangs over its head. Brian Quinn explains.
July 2022. Protesters take over Sri Lanka's presidential palace, the climax of a popular revolt known as the Aragalaya movement that deposed then-President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The uprising was triggered by an economic collapse that saw the country run out of foreign currency, as Sri Lankans were forced to wait in line, sometimes for days, for essential goods amid widespread shortages. Inflation hit 70% as the rupee lost nearly half its value. GDP shrank by more than 7%. The memory of the crisis hangs heavy over this year's presidential election.
Do not choose those who has sold and made us bankrupt. Remember, politicians are not the owners. We, the people, are the owners.
In the meantime, Sri Lanka has experienced a modest recovery. Inflation is now in the single digits, and its economy is projected to grow for the first time in 3 years. But it remains hobbled by $46 billion of foreign debt, payments on which have been frozen ever since the government defaulted in 2022. Current President Ranil Wickremesinghe has overseen a $25 billion debt restructuring process. He's also managing a $2.9 billion IMF bailout. That loan comes with austerity conditions that have resulted in severe hardship, as higher taxes and energy costs hit Sri Lankan wallets.
The mood in the country is that there has to be change. There is also the concern that the change must not lead to a repeat of what happened in 2022.
Wickremesinghe is urging voters to give him a new mandate so he can complete reforms he says are needed to set the country on a sustainable economic path. He's facing a serious challenge, though, from Marxist parliamentarian Anura Kumara Dissanayake, who wants to renegotiate the terms of the IMF bailout.
Let's take a quick look at the markets now. European stocks closing higher on Thursday as investors digested the latest monetary policy decisions from the US Federal Reserve.
Our international affairs editor, Angela Diffley. Angela, good afternoon. Give us a little bit of background about Martinique.
Yeah, so it's a French overseas territory in the Caribbean. I think we should say right away, because we often talk about New Caledonia on this programme. That is one of France's overseas territories over near Australia. That has a very different status and a very vociferous independence movement, and is working, there have been referendums on whether or not to have independence. Martinique does not have a significant independence movement. I think it's fair to say that the population broadly see that there are more benefits to being part of France than disadvantages. It is highly subsidised by mainland France for various reasons, which we'll perhaps have time to go into. So it's about 350,000 people living there, an island of about 30 by 60 kilometres. It has a better standard of living than many of the neighbouring Caribbean islands, and it has nevertheless had a drop in population recently. More and more of the people of the island are heading to live in mainland France. There are now about 260,000 from the island of Martinique living in mainland France. The economy was broadly agriculture, rum, sugar, bananas, tourism, and there was a major scandal because until about 1993, between the 70s and 1993, a lot of a pesticide which was banned in 1993 was used to help grow the bananas, and that has left much of the land unusable, and so it cannot be used to grow product, and that means that it needs the island needs to be subsidised, that a lot of farmers have had to be compensated, and that its production of some agricultural goods and fishing has diminished, and it imports a lot of food.
So why are we seeing the problems now out on the streets? What happened?
Yeah, well, as we heard there from Shirley, about 40% of the island's food is imported, and the prices are considerably higher than in mainland France. Now, the producers and the distributors say it costs a lot of money to get food from France to this relatively small island, that it is not about having fat profit margins, that it is an expensive business. There are a number of ideas which are going through the works. One is the idea of axing this sea toll, which has been there for centuries, which was originally put there to compensate or to protect local producers against imports. There's an idea that that should be axed. Another idea is that maybe a basket of 2,500 is the number that's being put out. Basic necessities should have their prices cut by 20% and capped. Those are some of the ideas. It must be said that probably as France is undergoing significant political change at the moment and instability and a lack of movement, then there isn't going to be much decision on this at the moment. And so it's very much about trying to assure the security of the people living on the island amidst this outbreak of violence.
We can now bring in our international affairs editor, Angela Diffley. Angela, good afternoon. Give us a little bit of background about Martinique.
Yeah, so it's a French overseas territory in the Caribbean. I think we should say right away, because we often talk about New Caledonia.
All right, folks, and some accidental looping of the video there. This is a situation in Martinique. If we believe that they being European, there's a European Union right next to us, If we believe that they being France, that they don't have problems, serious problems. So look at what's going on there. They don't have an answer to the whole supply chain issue of the long distance between France and Martinique to send things by sea, the cost. The importers then naturally will want to recoup the cost of the shipping and so on. They're going to have transport. The ships are going to cost, the planes are going to cost. They want money, they want to be paid, they want charge and so on. How are the importers going to get back what they have to pay them? And I'm telling you, the disposition in these market-driven economies and governments and so on is to avoid subsidies and price support as much as possible. Let the market decide. Let the market impose, its own discipline. And here's what it is. But at the end of the day, if they want equal treatment with mainland France, there's going to have to be some subsidization. Look at the issues they have, which we are hearing about with their agriculture. Chemicals that were used in banana cultivation, which caused, a tidal wave of cancer, prostate cancer in men and problems and so on, that they're afraid to go back to the land and to cultivate it and so on because they consider it is poisoned with the residues of those chemicals. If we have those issues in St. Lucia, we haven't heard about them, they haven't come to the fore. Maybe they're there. But do we have that kind of problem and so on? Europe right next to us. I'm making the point that in many ways, we are very fortunate, some would say very blessed and so on, that the issues that those we assume automatically have a blank check waiting for them and so on, that they have all these kinds of problems. When we talk about sending our bananas to Martinique so they could have gone to France, you don't believe they have shipping issues as well? Shipping costs and all those things? People were telling us that they would get into some arrangement with Martinique so that our bananas would go to France through Martinique and this kind of thing. All these kinds of pie-in-the-sky things that assume that certain people are so much better than us, that we are always trying to diss what we have, and we are always sidelining efforts to try to arrive at solutions for ourselves. And you have heard me talk about when it comes to solutions, we have to put our heads down. That this perennial problem of animal feed for livestock and so on, we need to ask ourselves, are we really as helpless as we believe we are? That there's nothing we can do about it. Do we need some greater innovation and, as we love to say, thinking outside the box to get at least partial solutions? It doesn't mean we can solve everything, but at least are there things that our agriculturists can do with plant breeding and husbandry and propagation and so on that we can use some more of the material that is available locally to meet a greater share of our animal livestock feed needs. Do we know that? They are just thoughts, we have to learn to think like that. Are there opportunities for far greater consumption of a lot of the natural, local, wild fruits and so on that we can do, so that the things that we grow here, they are much more appealing, much more palatable, they are much more satisfying and so on? Because, when we grew up, didn't we know Coco Cooley, what we call it, dumps or whatever it is, that it was a tiny, tiny thing? Did we not later down come to get the big Coco Cooley, big, much bigger size and so on? How did it come about? Was it new varieties? Was it selective breeding? Was it different propagation methods that we had and so on? When we grew up, did we not only know one kind of guava and so on, the one that had so many seeds? Do we not now have places at our agricultural stations where we have very big guavas that barely have any seeds, that inside is white and very fleshy and so on, and a lot more, a lot more appealing and tasty and so on for us to eat, etc., etc. Sweet tamarind and so on. Can we do something with a lot? For example, soursop. How many people can, eat a soursop that they have to be careful about spitting out the seeds? Are our agriculturists able, through some kind of intervention in propagation and selective breeding and so on, able to come out with a soursop that has, if not entirely seedless, but far fewer seeds? We've seen it with grapefruit. When I grew up, the grapefruit had so many seeds in them that you spend more of the time spitting out seeds than eating the flesh of grapefruit. Now we know there are grapefruits that you can eat and barely find a seed in it. Can we do it with our soursop? Can we do it with our sea grapes, so that the sea grape is not just the thin skin on it that you have, but afterwards is a fairly big seed that takes up most of the fruit that you spit out? Can our agriculturists do something with grafting and budding and layering and whatever it is? They know better than I do. So that we can have sea grapes around that people can enjoy it. And it is much fleshier. It's bigger. It has a smaller seed. Or it has the same size seed but more flesh on it and so on, so that it becomes something that we can enjoy and be nourished and be fed by the domestic space through our interventions of so many scientific people that we have, who have graduated, who are extension officers, who are this person and that person. These are the kind of things that we need to turn our mind to. People, I have told you all, I'm a very politically impassioned and very politically driven person. But I refuse to lock my mind into seeing everything as being finding the answer and in the line of least resistance and the low-hanging fruit of all our problems depend upon and the need to change a government, and it's the government and the prime minister and the government must step in and we have a problem. First thing is that this government must go. I'm not saying governments don't need to go, but I just find in our country there is not the engagement in the public discourse of alternatives, of different ideas, of innovation, of creativity, of what we can do to make our life. Tout bagay ici. Gouvernement ça qui pas bon. Nous ne pouvons tirer gouvernement ça. Nous ne pouvons, tirer gouvernement oui, but do you get a sense that we're becoming better, more developed, more cutting edge, more scientific, more technological, more innovative and so on? I spoke many times before about the need for us to have the interventions where we can have public freehold places where people can go for hikes and picnics and walks and so on, and they don't need to bring along any takeaway box of fast food, because the places where they're passing, it's deliberately planted like the way we used to grow up. But we understand land use has changed and houses and so on, that you go on that little walk, whatever it is, Louvet, Kazamba and so on, and they have so many guavas and Boaguier and this and that, that people can just, munch on some of them. They won't affect their blood sugar and their diabetes so much that they will have all the antioxidants and all the things we are talking about, in that people buy and so on, because we have so much of it here. We have to start thinking a little more like that, my friend. Yes, the government will change, but we have a certain St. Lucianness and a certain connection, with this land and this country, that it sustains us and we protect it. Real Issues is on. I know, the kind of subjects we normally like and you associate with Shelton Daniel. When I go off in this kind of directions, maybe you wonder, whether it's, we have to talk about those things as well. It's not everything, the politics and this and that and so on. We have to talk about them other things, so we'll be back shortly.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay By Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The Ministry of Health has launched yet another service under universal health coverage. This new service includes conducting pap smears using liquid-based cytology, which will assist in eliminating cervical cancer.
This new method of conducting pap smears is more comfortable and more convenient. So ladies, contact your nearest wellness center to get to know about our pap smear clinics.
Turnaround time for HPV testing is 1 week. Any abnormal or positive test, there'll be a following week for the cytology testing. We're also going to test for HPV strains 16 and 18, which are the most aggressive, which cause cervical cancer. We can also test for other STIs, such as herpes simplex type 1 and type 2, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and others.
Patients with an abnormal HPV and an abnormal cytology shall be referred to the colposcopy clinic. At that clinic, we shall assure that you get the proper treatment and guidance.
So come in and access this new service. Your health is our priority.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM. The man.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with the Real Issues. I got a forwarded message saying, Shelton, why isn't the topic about juju? Well, we can make it about juju. I think I've spoken about juju quite a lot, about the motorcade, about the need for us to conduct ourselves, about we don't need to be asking for everything to be named after juju. I didn't quite get to that point yesterday. Juju's homecoming, I've spoken about it. I said about the Millennium Highway, if we're going to even be talking about renaming it after Julian Alfred or calling it the Julian Alfred Highway, I would have liked to see, more progress on it. By now it should have been finished. It's been going on forever. But That's hardly the point in the context of Julian Alfred. There are other people, and there will be others. There will be other young people who will come up now that they have the inspiration of Julian Alfred. I'm sure of it. I'm convinced about it. We're going to be having other achievers, high achievers in athletics, in other sports and so on. But, so we have to save some things for them. We can't name everything after Julian Alfred. There will be others who will, be up and coming and will achieve and so on. And we have to remember those who didn't achieve Olympic glory, but who represented the country well, such as Laverne Spencer. Do we have anything named after her, by the way, and so on? I mean, she represented us at the Olympics. She got medals at very high levels, except Olympics and so on. She was good. Like we note about Julian Alfred, to me, she always struck me as a very humble, very modest person who was not full of herself, didn't have any cockiness about her. So, we have to think about them. Others in sports and so on, Darren Sammy has a cricket ground named after him. We have to save some things for Johnson Charles. Whatever it is can be said, he has gone out there and played for West Indies and on many occasions played well. We have to talk about those things as well. So, I mean, Julian Alfred coming home, there's been no shortage of me and others talking about it. Let me just see somebody this morning. As a matter of fact, Jaquan, I should have sent you a picture of Julian Alfred posing with a pilot, an airline pilot. I don't know if you've seen it. But yeah, have you seen it? Okay, all right. If you have it, can you play it? Let me see. Okay, let me just forward it to you. So maybe you can just flash it on the screen. All right, Jaquan, I'm sending it to you. Let me just tell you what somebody wrote in a group that I am a member of, and what they had to say. Let me get that. Very interesting. But again, I want to make the point that if we have to do everything that is suggested, Julian Alfred, the feeling now is that no cost, no expense, no cost should be spared, no expense is too much. But the amount of things that we need to do, we have to think about the costs. How would you justify having billboards and giant billboards all over the place for Julian Alfred? You put them up, the people who have to build them, they want to be paid. They're going to be charged, and they will charge. And the tendency of people when they are charging, once it's something to do with government or the state or the public purse, the exorbitant bills that they, and then 2 weeks later, people will already be making noise for their payment and so on. And how do you justify having, so many very expensive billboards and so on and whatever it is all over the place for Julian Alfred, deserved as it is? And then the Grosley Polyclinic, you hear people start making noise that they went there and, there were no whatever medications and they couldn't get this and they couldn't get that service. So my point is that there has to be balance. And there has to be some kind of, equitable distribution and doing things in a manner that doesn't go to extremes in one area and then you are struggling in another area. So I understand. But this is what the individual said. You got it, Jaquan? Yes. All right. You mean to tell me, I'm not going to say who it is because it's a closed group and so on, which I'm there by admission, invitation. You mean to tell me Juju is staying in the north and not one billboard has a pic of her? Grosley is bereft of any pics of Juju. SMDH, shake my damn head. And the person notes that Grosley, the home and constituency of the Youth and Sports Minister. Now, I don't know if that is something to judge the appropriateness and the acceptable extent of what we should do. It does seem a little, wanting for me, if you ask me. There was enough time to think this whole thing through, but how much do you really put out for a one-off, one-shot welcome, homecoming motorcade? Or do you tell yourself, look, we do this today, this week, and there will be enough time and opportunity and resources down the road for us to do more, for us to do what we have to do, for us to do all. You don't need to try to do everything for the homecoming and for Julian Alfred Day and for the week, and to believe you can accomplish everything. I take the point. But not every billboard and not every banner and not every wall and mural and so on is or maybe should go up all at once. There is, as I said, the overwhelming effect where you can cauterize, numb the senses of the novelty effect of appreciating and welcoming something if you overdo it. If you overwhelm, the faculties and the senses and the nerve endings of people with too much of it, it becomes blasé, it becomes, I think you get the point I'm making. You can actually overdo it so that it becomes a one-off, a splash, and then the feeling of appreciation and wow, it goes away. It's better that you spread it over, a certain period of months, etc., recognizing that Julian Alfred Day, Juju Homecoming, Juju Motorcade, and so on, is a one-time, one-off event in a certain week. But then you have coming up Journée Créole. You have coming up, different things. You have coming up National Day, you have coming up Christmas, New Year, Asu Square, Independence. So you have to look maybe a spread of from now until independence and the bigness. And to my good friend Tricky, you and I have been having a very energetic exchange on another matter. Maybe, this could have been a time to think of a song which would have been, after all, Elton John took his song tribute to Marilyn Monroe, Goodbye Norma Jean, and changed it into an even more popular, tribute to the late Princess Diana, Goodbye England Rose, you understand? That may be Mama, oh Mama, that maybe could have been oh Juju, we adore you, we admire you, we honor you and so on, Juju, it is true, maybe tricky, Maybe there is still time to do some. You haven't really been active in the Calypso arena. Maybe Julian Alfred honoring her might be a good opportunity. It doesn't have to. Maybe you can do a new song, but maybe you can take Mama and change it to Juju. Oh Juju, we love you. Something so. Trickster. Maybe you can do that. Maybe you can even just think of it. And look for support and so on, whether here or, where in Canada, in Toronto, where you are based. And who knows, you might be surprised who might come forward to tell you they think it's an excellent idea and give you their support. And I think you know who I'm talking about, Tricky, okay? Yeah, so, folks, I don't think we need to try to compress and pack everything into 1 week or 1 day or whatever, because then it's like a song you like to hear and it play and it play and it play, and there comes a time you don't want to hear that song again because you heard too much. Let's not do that with Julian Alfred. I know she will have staying power and she will have a long time to go. Even now the St. Lucia National Olympic Committee has to be reminding that all the billboards and whatever they do and so on, that the 5 Olympic rings, that they should not have it, so they're asking them to block it off, to paint it off or whatever they do, because it is the property of the IOC, International Olympic Committee, of which the National Olympic Committee is the local representative and their eyes and their ears and to look out for them. Now, isn't that going to perhaps put a little rain on the parade, that to say, the Olympic rings, you should not have them displaying them because unless you have prior written permission of the IOC, when that kind of thing comes up, and it comes up in the week where you're planning all this big bash for Julian as our Olympic heroine, as somebody who's bringing home Olympic gold and silver and Olympic glory to us for the first time, and bringing it up in a double. And now, after all what you do and you billboard and wall that you paint and mural and so on, that somebody telling you, you got to take it out, the 5 rings. The 5 rings are symbolic, emblematic of the Olympic glory, but now you're being told, Tiwesa, Upani, whatever intellectual property, authorization, Pusani, and come on, folks. And international and National Olympic is obligated, they're duty bound to notify and report those things to the IOC. They are the local affiliate. They get their funding and all of that from IOC. They're duty bound. How will IOC react? Will they say, okay, because it's your first time and we recognize the national mood of euphoria, go ahead? Or they might decide to, demand some action, some compensation, and that just, puts a damper on everything. Like I said, it will bust our bubble and rain on our parade. I don't think it will reach the point of getting so extreme. But in the moment of euphoria, we can get caught up in certain things and forget that a lot of those things, they are serious business. They are businesses. They have commercial, implications and so on that are vast, that are huge. And we need to observe and respect them. So that's why I'm asking for some kind of moderation, some kind of, thinking, some kind of restraint, some kind of, don't get carried away kind of attitude. Anyway, Jaquan tells me that everything is working well today. The internet is good. The WhatsApp line, the 487-9849, that wasn't working yesterday, that it's okay today, that our local landline is okay. So I'm going to open the phone lines for anyone who wants to call. 487-9849. You can WhatsApp call us. Did you put up the picture with Julian and the pilot? Is it on right now? All right. Let's play it again. And it says, it says a Jamaican friend who's a captain at AA, American Airlines, ran into Juju this morning at the airport. And I wish he was flying her home, but he's off to Santiago. I don't know if that's the capital of Chile. He commented on how polite and humble she was. She even told him she lived in Jamaica for a bit. Big up, all Caribbean massive. And this is the picture of Julian posing with the pilot. Looks absolutely great. We have a call on the line, all right? We have our first call. Hi, good afternoon. The Real Issues.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Daniel, and how do you do?
Yeah, I'm okay. Oh boy, this is so nice to hear from somebody in Canada for the first time, on our program.
Mr. Daniel, trust me, you see that strike that's going on in Martinique there?
Yeah.
It will cause so much damage because Martinicans are not St. Lucians. They are very, 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 very put together, and they are very stubborn people. They stand for what they want and they don't bend. They don't settle for 1 point less. Let me say something to you. I left Martinique in 2005 over a strike, a bank strike. You did not want to be there. Sheldon, I saw people eating from the garbage dump. You know what it is to work? Have a check, cannot go and deposit it. You cannot go to the bank and do any transaction. All the employees do, they walk in, they lock the door, and they just stay in there. They serve nobody. And that went on for 3 months. Martinique people are very, 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 very put together people. They're not stupid. Trust me, you see that strike that's going on in there? The fishermen will stand with them. The gas stations will stand with them. They are not St. Lucians that will tell you, oh, Madame Salah ini famille Canada. Yo kay voye barrel bay famille yo kay manger yo kay ba moi même pas une famille Canada pour voye moi ba. No. Nobody will go to the supermarket and buy nothing. Nothing. Everybody will stay away from the supermarket. Let me tell St. Lucian something that they do not know about Martinique. Martinique is worse off than us in St. Lucia. Everything that goes on in there is just like the same man that runs the banana estate that has 100 and something employees. The banana farmer, Shelton. He earns the supermarket. That same man earns the supermarket. That same man earns the garage that sells the vehicles. That same man earns the travel agency. The same man earns everything else. So let me say something to you. The money is being filtered from one place to another place. The little man in Martinique don't have nothing, C'est que ici, ou quand on sait ici, 10 hectares, 12 hectares. Martinique pas ni moun qui ni ça. Toute grande habitation c'est bagay betche. C'est Martinique. Yo la dje bay moun qui sorti en France vini planter figue. C'est moun Martinique là qui ka vendre des petits bêtes figue là. C'est pas dje. On dit mi vend. On vend. Derrière c'est 4 femmes, 5 femmes qui mettent en femme. Figue ensemble pour faire un container figue. Parce que moi travaille en figue, moi ça dit. On 20 feet container ni 520 cartons. 540 cartons a 20 feet container at 38 pounds per box. That is 20 tons of banana to the 20 feet container. The 40 feet is double. 1,080 cartons. 40 tons. But moi do bagay. Là où il y a un ton figue. Là où il y a un container figue. Il laisse 6-7 femmes qui mettent ensemble pour faire ça. Bah moi do un bagay. Ça ou qui calé la Martinique là, il porte un chai bêtise. Mais Martinique c'est pas cet lycéen parce qu'il a ni moun c'est dit oh ça fait sous ça fait ça. Non. Pièce moun pas à la supermarket là. And one support the other. The gas station will help that one. This one will tell you no. Since that is what's going on, you're not going to bring down the prices. We are shutting down our gas station. Let me say something to you. It is not that one person shut down and the other, the association come together. Look, we are going to support the people. No gas station will be open unless that thing is solved. You know what kind of mess that can bring? Madame quitté Martinique in 2006, 2005. Oh, bank strike it was a mess. The only strike I have not seen in Martinique is a snow strike.
Okay.
Because I don't think they have snow. Apart from that, everything else. Et moi, d'où comme ça? J'en sais ici. Moi, t'en as chay moun dit, oh, nous, oui, chez la France, teni nous. Pas mandé bon Dieu, ça bon Dieu, pas bas. Because bon, moi, d'où bagay. L'argent, zot, où est la France qu'a dépensé, c'est pas l'argent. France had how many colonies in Africa? Up to this day, as today, the 24th of September, as I speak, France is still collecting 75% of these people's yearly income. You know what amount of money France collect from the colonies in Africa's money?
Yeah, insist
75%, 300 billion US yearly.
I don't think it is that they are confiscating the money, but they insist that it must be deposited or banked with the French.
No. Listen, Sheldon, if you tell me I am making $100 per year. You tell me I have to send $75 to you. You made me sign agreement. The name of the agreement was the PAC. Whether I want or not, I sign to it. I have to give it to you.
Okay.
And you have to survive on 25% at your house. You know, I watched 4 years ago. I was watching something between France and Africa. They were having some meeting. An ambassador of an African ambassador. She has a doctorate. She has an American citizenship. She was at the meeting and she asked Emmanuel Macron, when are you going to get your feet off the African's neck? You know what answer he gave her? He showed her the door. Can you explain to me in any language what it means to show me the door? Get out. People, that thing will get so dirty in Martinique. Martinicans will come down for rescuing solution. Okay. Those who have family.
All right, okay.
It's not going to stop. And have a good day, people.
Thank you very much, Maria. Thanks. Have a good day as well.
Okay.
All right. Unless we have somebody on the line right now, Jaquan, I think we've gone into commercial break time. So let's take it. When we come back, we'll entertain more calls. And I'll definitely do my best to read some of the messages, both on the Real Issues WhatsApp group and the Facebook Live.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real Issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosley Bus Stop, Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The Ministry of Health has launched yet another service under universal health coverage. This new service includes conducting pap smears using liquid-based cytology, which will assist in eliminating cervical cancer.
This new method of conducting pap smears is more comfortable and more convenient. So ladies, contact your nearest wellness center to get to know about our pap smear clinics.
Turnaround time for HPV testing is 1 week. Any abnormal or positive test, there will be a following week for cytology testing. We also going to test for HPV strains 16 and 18, which are the most aggressive, which cause cervical cancer. We can also test for other STIs such as herpes simplex type 1 and type 2, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and others.
Patients with an abnormal HPV and an abnormal cytology shall be referred to the colposcopy clinic. At that clinic, we shall assure that you get the proper treatment and guidance.
So come in and access this new service. Your health is our priority.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with big issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and staying with the real issues on this Tuesday. It is the 24th of September, 2024. The telephone lines are open to take your calls. The WhatsApp line is working again, as I told you. 487-9849. You can WhatsApp call us on this mobile number, 758-487-9849, and on our local landline, 4533-911. All right. Now let's look at some messages that I've been getting. Someone says, "Good afternoon, Mr. Daniel. Some lotions like too much Roro. They're looking for all poop on flies to complain about. SMDH, shake my damn head. Even if the billboards in the north, what the hell? They still have a billboard of her. Lord help us." And another person says, "Exactly, Mr. Daniel. Nothing lasts forever on your tricky point, SMH." Not sure what she means when she says nothing lasts forever on my tricky point. I suggested the tricky, who I think is in St. Lucia. He resides in Toronto, Canada normally, but I think he's in St. Lucia. Don't know if he came home for the Juju homecoming or something else. So I was just suggesting maybe, you know, he can do a little variation of his very well known, very well received, I might even say famous song, Mama, paying tribute to his mother and to mothers generally. Whether he can do something, a little adaptation of it to Juju, oh Juju, we love you, we cherish you, we adore, you know what I'm talking about, all right? Miguel Favre, thank you for drawing to my attention that there is a Laverne Spencer Drive in Barbono. He says it's either Drive or Avenue. All right, thank you very much. I think with regard to what I said about the supermarket prices, what's going on in Martinique, someone said, what you're missing, Shelton, is that Chasney will avoid protesting against high supermarket prices for obvious reasons. He will be hurting his father directly. That's why he's focused on fuel prices. Haven't you already observed that? Well, when it comes to the supermarket prices, I believe it was announced many years ago that Michael Chasney was no longer involved in the supermarket business. All the J's, the Super J and the Mega J and the Big J and all those J's and so on, that he had pulled out of that business, and that he had sold his interest or his stake in it to Massey. I think that's what I understood, that he's no longer part of the business. Now, it doesn't mean he doesn't benefit from it, because I believe he's still the owner of the Gablewoods Mall at Sunny Acres, which one of the Massey stores occupies. So he's probably earning, some income from, rental income from them. But it's not only the Massey that's there. There's M&C Drugstore. There are several other businesses in that area and so on. Don't know if he owns any of the other real estate. The JQ people and so on own some of the real estate, as far as I know, that the mall at the JQ's mall, there is a Massey there, so the JQ people and so on would be making money off it and so on. The Baywalk Mall people, I think there's a Massey over there as well. So I don't think Michael Chasney is directly involved in the supermarket, from what I heard. But sometimes, okay. Another person says, Shelton, that is called genetically modified. I'm not too fond of that. I like my fruits in the natural form. No, I wasn't talking. Genetically modified is a different thing, my friend. When you talk about selective breeding, and when you talk about using different plant propagation techniques and so on, selective breeding is about grafting and fertilizing and crossbreeding certain plants that have demonstrated desirable characteristics about them. So you go about in the cocoa coulee and you find that there is one tree that seems to have a cocoa coulee that's sweeter than the other one. What you might do is that you might graft and bud it with another one that has those characteristics, so that what you do, you keep on, enhancing or accentuating those desirable characteristics until, by continuous crossbreeding of them, the selective breeding, that certain characteristic, whether it is the sweetness or the size and so on, becomes continuously emphasized and, as you say, enhanced and accentuated. It has nothing to do with putting it in some kind of petri dish and pushing in some kind of probe and altering the chromosomes or removing some chromosomes from some gene or some cell or whatever, so that what you have is something that has been altered at the genetic level. So there are different propagation techniques, and they do not, in fact, I don't think we have the technology there to do genetic modification. And St. Lucia, I believe, generally, if not in law, tries to avoid GMOs, genetically modified organisms. So I think even in our practices of importation and so on, we watch out for whether the conflicts or whatever and so on was made with genetically modified corn and so on. And I don't know, I think I had a conversation many years ago with people who were in agriculture and the standards people and so on, and I don't think GMOs are welcomed into St. Lucia or are popular, whatever it is, so we try to keep them out. What I'm talking about is if you have, the guava that you can get into some, enhanced features or characteristics because it is bigger, some will be sweeter, some will be juicier, whatever, and so on. So agriculturists, the agriculturists who we have in Cardi, in St. Lucia and so on, they know about those things, that you can't do the selective breeding and the crossing and the propagation and whatever it is, so that over time you find a soursop which naturally does not have as many seeds as the one that you know. You can find soursop that without any genetic modification that are sweeter. So what you do, you continue to selectively breed, cross them, so that that desirable characteristic, it becomes repeated and it becomes enhanced and it becomes accentuated, so that you may have, this is not a new varieties and new variants and so on, that basically have a soursop with fewer seeds in it. I don't know if you can bring it to the point where it has none, because you would need to have the seeds so that you can grow and cultivate and propagate others down the line and so on. What it does, I think, is that the seeds, they then become so valuable, because it's not a soursop that has 500 seeds in it. It's a soursop that you can have that only has 10 seeds.
Good afternoon, Sheldon.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon to you, my friend.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm okay.
Sheldon, let me tell you, I hear Maxi Supermarket saying they support Julian Alfred for a great achievement. But the same Maxi see nothing to do. Instead, they're going to celebrate, after stuff, they're going to celebrate the achievement of Julian Alfred. The same Friday, they open, right? Can you imagine that? So I'm saying to Maxi Supermarket, that when you say you support Julian Alfred, it's a lie. Because how can you say you support her? And there are parents who have the children working within Maxi Supermarket, and there are children who are achieving great scores in sports. And then you're not giving them an opportunity to go and support Julian Alfred at the stadium and something. So I said to Maxi, that is very bad about you all. And you can, and those who think that it's not true, they can probably call Sheldon, WhatsApp him, and you hear it. That's what they do in Sheldon. I mean, how can you Maxi Supermarket say, oh, you come out with the ad with support Julian Alfred, and the same Maxi is open on Friday. Maxi, I find it is very wrong for you to do that. You are not supporting Julian Alfred. That's what I say.
So what are you saying? Maxi should close on Friday?
They open on Friday.
No, but what I'm saying, you find
supervisor told me that up to yesterday.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying, do you find something wrong with that?
Sorry? Yes. Check it out, you see. They open. And that's bad of Maxi. And I'm saying it again, Maxi, and it's very wrong.
What is bad? What is bad? The fact that they will open, you believe they should close?
They open in from the usual time, and they close at 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but Maxi, I find that's wrong of you. You're not supporting Julian Alfred.
I'm trying to get from you, what exactly is wrong? Is it the fact that they will be opening at all, or the hours that they're opening? No, you're going too much for me. Explain to us before you hang up exactly what it is you find that's bad.
The government gave it a holiday for all business places, companies, the banks, and everybody. Let us support the great achievement of Julian Alfred, because there are other countries wish they could have got that little support. I mean, that is the first time we got a young person to bring in a gold medal for us, and all companies say we support Julian Alfred. But today, Maxi is saying they're supporting Julian Alfred, but they are open, and the staff cannot go and support Julian Alfred at the stadium. And so they're closing from the usual time, 7 o'clock, and closing at 6 o'clock. And 7. I think it's wrong. You're not supporting Julian Alfred.
Okay, my friend, I think I understand you better. Okay, all right.
But check it out, you see. Okay, no problem, my friend.
We have to understand that different people in a society, you cannot be oppressive. You cannot impose something which is really a state observation, a governmental thing, a public holiday, and insist that it has to be a commercial holiday and that they must close. You must be very careful with those things, because you'll be surprised you do it and you say no supermarket must open, and then people get very upset with you. Because the mere fact that it is a holiday, that is what gives them the opportunity to go shopping and get things and to get things done that they could not do on a normal working day. And even some of the staff, if you deny them the opportunity to get paid the extra time, the double time, the different rates that come, some of them may not be happy with you. So I want to say, let us have a broader, mind about those things and so on. We have a call on the line. Good afternoon, Real Issues.
Good afternoon, Mr. Daniel. How are you?
Yeah, hi, I'm doing okay.
Yesterday, on your program, you mentioned somebody who allowed another person to manipulate them and drag them into issues. We put two and two together and realized the whole scenario you're trying to paint. The problem with your hypothesis or your
hold on a second. I didn't name anybody, but you want to come and say, no, hold on for me. Hold on. But you decided that you know who I was referring to. But go ahead.
Listen to what I said. I said it in English. You said somebody, and you painted a whole scenario. People are not stupid, as stupid as you think they are. You said they allowed a certain person to manipulate them and drag them along with them. I am asking you, where did you get that information? Because the person you referred to, until that time, had never said anything on the issue because they are friends with the person in question. They had never said anything on the issue. So I'm wondering, where did you get the information that somebody dragged somebody because it was a lie? The persons you're referring to had said nothing. So where did you get that information from?
Well, first of all, it's none of your business where I get information that you want to come and demand. Hold on. Sound me to a show. Bese te pa mamoti manye bo mwela suple. Kiti mo weapons out there. You can't come and demand that I tell you where I get information. Of course, I can if I want to say so. But let me tell you something. Some comments were posted on social media about Henry Mangal. Okay?
Who did it?
Hold on. It's not just who posted it, who are the people commenting on what it is that they said. And one of the people who seems to have a problem with me talking about people being dragged was one of those commenting. And some of the comments for someone who claims to be a friend of Henry Mangal, they don't seem too friendly. As a matter of fact, that individual has disclosed to me that he has drafted a letter of some complaint which I think is addressed to Alva Baptist about Henry Mangal. And the individual messaged me and is telling me that it is because of the things I said he has decided. In other words, I provoked him into drafting that letter. If somebody is your friend, you don't get provoked into writing a letter and making disparaging comments about them. That's one. Let me also tell you that the individual who I think you're referring to, and you may well be that individual pretending to be somebody else, but that's neither here nor there. That individual some time ago, under his byline on the page of United PAC, allowed something to be published which I have every reason to believe was a false flag operation against me that he was carrying out on behalf of somebody. Because some of the remarks made in it about out with the Mepui, and then it went into different people, including Shelton Daniel and so on. The individual under whose byline this editorial piece, this article was false flagged. I know, I don't pretend to know him best, but some of the statements in him are things that I would not associate with him making those remarks at all. The true author of it, in other words, although the hand had the feel of Esau, the voice was unmistakably that of Jacob. And I know that somebody whom I have blocked has been using the technique of tagging me through other people so that the disparaging, insulting things that she often says about me, that they can get to me. And when I know that the individual who you were referencing about me saying that he was dragged, that he could carry out false flag and allow people to put things under his byline aiming at me, then I had to ask myself whether that individual has learned any lesson, including a lesson of a costly lawsuit that he found himself embroiled in on the losing end, never bothered to defend it, much less to appeal it. And that is why I formed the opinion that that individual, with whom I think I have had excellent communications, is allowing himself to be dragged into the malice of a third party, which really does not represent his true feelings and positions with people such as myself and Henry Mangal. Some of the comments made by that individual and that letter whose draft he sent me, that is not the wording and expressions that he used to anybody whom you call a friend. That's my opinion. Go ahead, sir. Oh, he left.
10 people, 10 people, no, you spoke now, let me speak. 10 people, well, nine people spoke, 9 people drafted this letter. So whole committee drafted this
letter.
It
has one person, one person is the signatory, yeah? One person, go ahead.
Chair, the person is the chair. One person. Several people consider the Prime Minister and draft a letter, it goes under his signature, okay? Everybody who disagrees with you, even on the show, you talk about you being disappointed. I thought we had a great relationship. You actually refer to the people who did that as the devil. We are St. Lucians. You can disagree with us. You can take issues with our politics. But you don't go ahead and call us the devil. Because we don't turn around and call you the devil because you disagree with us. You all make politics in St. Lucia too nasty. When you came back to the TV, I was excited because we had a great relationship. I said, look, even if you have your biases, I saw you over the years as somebody who can always bring it back to let's talk. You actually used to say, let's talk about the issues. I heard you on RSL defended people who on the opposite side, not defend, but you tell people, well, you did. You bring it back and you say, even Mary Isaac, you said, hey, let's not go there. Let's talk about the issues. You used to be that person. Now I listen to you and I'm like, I don't know that person. I tell close friends of ours, I don't know that person. You insinuate things, you make things up, you apologize for things the government doing, and you just, I know you're singing for your supper, but speaking the truth should be the hallmark of what you do. Get information.
Hey you right away coming in and insulting me about singing for my supper. You sound like you're from the playbook of somebody that I know very well. You can't speak without being insulting. You can't speak without this kind of thing, you know. You can't speak without being denigrating. I'm singing for my supper. To whom am I singing for my supper? Which supper? I work for a private enterprise called MBC. I don't work for government. I don't do any work for the Labour Party. I don't hold any consultancy with government or anything of that kind. But you just come in and make assumptions. And if I have changed, sir, to the extent that you can no longer countenance me, then just rest your case. Why are you even bothering speaking to me? Thank you very much, sir. Sir, thank you very much. I don't think this conversation has any useful basis to be continued. Thank you. I mean, you're coming there on the heels of some very unsubstantiated, defamatory remarks that you made about a lady. She sued you successfully. You did not even see any hope, any merit in defending the lawsuit. No basis to appeal it. And I'm seeing this kind of article that was written on United Pack about me, insult from start to finish by a well-known person who's calling me all kinds of names, bottom feeder and all kinds of insulting names. And I saw it false flagged under your name. You actually allowed somebody to use your name to publish this kind of thing. I'm absolutely sure this is what has happened. Some of the expressions in that thing are just not you. You said some things are not me. That's just not you. And so when I see it, I say, look, this individual is allowing somebody to drag him into certain things. This thing that was published about Henry, and sometimes I don't mention people's names because then you're giving them too much relevance. About numerous complaints received from St. Lucians in Canada about Henry Mangal and this guy. You are one of the people who is commenting on it, and one of the things under the name of Cornelius Harrell. Yep, heard about the petition. My response was the SLP will not remove him. There are other comments from you regarding the consulate in Toronto. Mangal is operating like a Russian czar. And then you write me and tell me Mangal is your friend? He treats too many St. Lucians like criminals and acts like he's granting them a favor for which they must tolerate his arrogance and condescension. He is most likely the worst St. Lucian CG, that's Consul General, to ever be in Toronto. Many avoid doing business at the consulate, and it breaks off at this point, I suppose, is because of Mangal. You tearing into the man. There are a number of St. Lucians, mostly SLP cohorts, who frequent 22 Norbrook Drive in Kingston, Jamaica. That's the address of the Russian embassy. The USA is right across the street keeping tabs. Those who do not want to be seen there too often ask to meet at hotels like the Pegasus and Cotley. And that is all your addition to something that is posted, about Henry Mangal. And you come in and say the man is your friend? I mean, come on. Who you think you're fooling? Who you think is a moron? I don't want to be your favorite. If being your favorite means I must be your favorite moron. Gasson, you don't want to consider me as anybody worthy of any of your respect. That's quite okay. In life you win some and then you lose some. This lawsuit that you ran yourself into against Lilia Ogis, it stands as a stark and glaring example of the kind of, blunders that a person can make when they are absolutely careless and they absolutely take liberties with people's names and reputations and this kind of thing. When you just absolutely, don't care what you are doing, you're just serving a cause, and you want to come and tell me about labor, you have a problem with me being labor. I've never had a problem with you being Flambeau. I've always known you were Mary Isaac's nephew. We spoke, I interviewed you and so on. We've had communication. I've never disrespected your Flambeau status. That is your right, just as it is mine. But partner, when you allow yourself to be used to false flag articles and hit pieces for other people, then I have to ask questions about you. And I have to ask, is that part of a normal trend of this guy doing things against his own better judgment without thinking, but pressing himself into the service of other people to do hit pieces against people that he himself calls friend? How can someone be your friend and you do this kind of thing to them? Anyway, enough of that. Enough of that. Waste of time. You know. I mean, these people shift targets and they go after people. One time it's Ernest Leon McLeod, another time it's I mean, come on, folks. What are we doing? All right. I understand it's the same person trying to call, so don't waste your time, Don't waste your time. Yeah, I expected you would do that and so on, but let me leave it alone for now. Maybe one day you might want to talk to him about how you found yourself in this legal tangle with Lilia Ogis that you were on the losing side of and ordered to pay her upwards of $150,000. You never appeal, so this thing is dead. It's at the end of it all. It's in the state of how they call it. It's decided. The matter is settled. You can't come back from it and so on. And then I see you after that false flagging an article that I know you didn't write. I know it's somebody, taking aim at me on United Pack and so on. And then you want to come and say we're friends? The same way you want to come and say Henry Mangal is your friend? That letter that you have drafted, for Henry Mangal and so on, what is the basis of it? Anyway, do we have any other calls coming through at this time? Let me just look at a couple of the messages. And if you want a distraction to come after me and this and that, I'm not an elected person. I ain't running for elections. I have a few things about people and the obsession that y'all can deliver with that y'all can develop with them, but I ain't going to say anything about it, because then I'll be giving y'all ideas on correcting course and continue the manner in which y'all are going. It suits me just fine. Anyway. Let me see. St. Lucia Kings won handsomely on their own turf in Trinidad. Johnson Charles, man of the match. We are also doing great in regional netball. Thank you very much for that. Now, let me see. Do I have any other messages that I didn't have time get to? Let's see the Facebook Live. If you think you can use me as a distraction to create a commotion about Shelton Daniel and this and that, apart from the 1-2 times that they called me to serve as a temporary senator, very few and far between, I don't do anything. I don't do any work for Labour Party or for government or for anything like that. I don't have those kind of involvement. So if it's some kind of thing you're trying to find with me, haven't you noticed a long time I don't even host Can I Help You for Richard Frederick? He's found Albert Frederick's fellow, former, ex-policeman, lawyer like himself, or my election candidate and all of that. And the two guys seem to have gelled and so on. It was just a matter of necessity that, look, if Richard is unavailable, I work for NBC. Do you allow a major NBC program to fall flat? You understand? So, we there. He wanted me to sit with him. Some people seem to have a problem with that because they vex with people. You must be vexed with them all of a sudden. You are butt kisser and you this and you and you're the sidekick to, frog face and all this kind of, disparaging names. Somebody's frog face. When the frog face when there was apparently some, some coziness between the sheets, hanky-panky, but you all fall out with the person right away. Anything nice you say about the person, that makes you somebody who's, a butt sniffer, a brown noser, and, all this kind of insulting things, that go on and on. Have I ever called you any of those names? You letting somebody come and false flag an article under your byline to get at me. You allow that? And then I had to ask myself, that sounds totally in sync with the person who Lilia Ogis was able to successfully sue. Anyway. Folks, 2 o'clock is here already. We have to roll because of the lotto. Thank you so very much for being part of it today. Do enjoy the week of welcoming home and celebrating Julian Alfred, culminating in Friday, Juju Day, I think it's a great time for the country, and there's some who are just trying to turn our heads so that, we will be distracted and not focus on the progress and the achievements and the joy. Let us refuse to let them be able to do that. Thanks, Jaquan, for another great job at the controls. On behalf of all of us here at MBC, Shelton Daniel for now, signing out.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform.
The winning numbers for the midday draw of Tuesday, 24th September 2024 were Double Daily Grand 4, 9, 12, 21. Big 4, 2, 1, 7, 7. The Big 4 multi-expo drawn is 2x. Pick 2, 3, 8. The Pick 2 multi-expo drawn is 2x. 1 off, 0, 2, 8. Lucky 3, 9, 7, 4. The Lucky 3 multi-expo drawn is 2x.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel.